About the development process of a new car, just count on this. I don't care how careful you are, how much money you have, how smart you are. If you build a brand new race car and take it to the racetrack, you're going to have to debug it. Unfortunately, most times racing works out at the very first time we take a car. It's late, we're trying to make a race, it gets done midnight the night before the race, right? Does this sound familiar, those of you with experience? You get to the track with a brand new car that's never even been on a track. So that's not ideal, and if you're in a car like that, take it easy. Things go wrong. There's some just surprises. Some little bushing's a little too long, the clutch slips, the right front shock wasn't assembled properly. These things just happen, so count on it. Once you get through the initial debugging phase, it's the test pilot phase, I call that, then you're into the real development. And suspension development for me is great fun. It's very interesting. Try to make a car handle properly. Try to make it work with all the different adjustments. There's so many different kinds of cars, but that part is fascinating and enjoyable, and it helps if you have an engineer like we do on our pro team, like k-pax, to help sort out the issues, because the race car is not a laboratory environment. The changes don't always do what you might expect them to do by the book, right? And that's part of the thrill of it. It's kind of a black art, really, especially when you get to shock adjustments. It's magic, and that's enjoyable. Drivetrain development, like the engine development, if you have the money, that's best done on a dynamometer by a pro. If you take your own car to the track, be careful with that engine. You've got to drive it easy at first, because you've got to figure out what it wants. Will it starve for oil in the corners? Is it running too lean? You don't want to put a hole in a piston, etc., etc. Bring it up gradually and easily. Do not go out and run that thing flat out until you know that everything works, one step at a time. In the drivetrain, that's really tricky, because that usually shows up in terms of vibrations, because things are spinning, right, or a little difficulty getting a gear. And myself, I rely on the pros for that, or in the old days, I built a couple of IT cars myself, and I had to just figure it out. A lot of times I just changed the part, and trial and error. All depends on your money. Again, money's very important in racing. Good luck.